the one thing is the time commitment, right? So it can't just be, what we tend to do is like a year of intensive PD, and then the next year, figure it out on your own.
That's right.
It doesn't work. We found with Wit and Wisdom that for 2 years, we needed publishers. We needed instructional coaches. We needed to make sure that everybody was trained up 3-4 times a year on curriculum, pacing, checking in with them and like letting them know where we were. We kind of had a running sheet going of where we were as far as lessons, what some pitfalls were, what was working really well. We started out really strong with expeditionary learning as far as like having really strong PD the first 3 months or so. And now we have TSAs who are leading, which is fine if they have like a deep understanding of the program. But I haven't seen that yet. And I also haven't seen the level of engagement from the teachers who are participating in these PDs. Like, they're overwhelmed right now with all the other things right now. So to have a peer who may or may not have taught the curriculum, or who may or may not have had an opportunity to, you know, dive in with some of the challenges that are happening, it's just a different lens. The lens isn't wide enough. So I think we need to commit to at least 3 solid years of high-level PD from the publishers, from teachers from other districts like ours, who have a high Black and Brown student population with varying levels of literacy, various home support, who can kind of guide us through how to best implement and how to best make this work for kids.
Well, one, I think structured planning time to me is one of the most important investments we can make in our teachers. And so when I say planning time, I'm not like, hey, go off and, you know, let your flowers bloom. It's, we didn't call it planning time. We actually didn't call it collaboration time anymore either. We called it kind of intellectual preparation time. And that was there was a cycle that we actually engaged teachers in. And so one cycle takes place, there's kind of 2 different important planning chunks, I would say, of what we learned. We started off with a weekly commitment. So your grade level team would sit with your coach and you guys would do a lesson internalization for the upcoming week, going really deep into a lesson, pulling out how is this aligned with the standards, practicing different parts of it, really annotating the curriculum, getting really deep into one lesson. Now you got a handful of lessons, more than one in a given week. So it didn't mean you got that much attention for every single lesson you were going to teach. But again, we're trying to build skills and we're trying to build an approach so that folks get the essence of the standard and how to teach it well through the content. But what we learned is, what was hugely advantageous, is giving that teaching team with their coach a couple hours before the unit started, so that they were able to do an internalization of the unit, so that they could say, here's the kind of master understandings, here are the big ideas, here are the big content skills we want to make sure the kids get out of this unit. Grounding the teaching team in those things before they started teaching helped them not get lost in the day-to-day, right, and the kind of minutia of lessons, but it helped keep their eyes on the bigger prize of what are the essential understandings we're trying to accomplish with this unit. Because otherwise, I think with any new thing, you get bogged down. You're going twice as slow as you think you're going. You just, because you want to do it well, but part of what you have to do is kind of keep up with the pace of it. You can't take a unit and teach it over the course of what should be 3 units. Otherwise, kids are just losing out too much access. So that was our big learning, is really prioritizing that unit internalization time.
We partner directly with EL to do, and so our principals work directly with their school designers, is what their title is, to strategically plan professional learning. I also meet with, I'm not sure his title, but with another like overall designer to think about our network of our family of schools, so multiple campuses. And with that, we're really zooming in on content specific PD. So what does the data tell us we need around teachers understanding how to tackle like phases of closed reading would be an example. And that's been super helpful. We also do a school-based PD scope and sequence, but what I think is really important, and I want to like emphasize here, is we actually not only do we do like the whole group professional learning, like PD for teachers, but we're rolling out instructional cycles, which is essentially our coaches and our principals and myself as well doing one-on-ones with teacher to internalize one lesson. So rather than thinking about how are we developing teachers to understand the scope of the year, which is really important, and of course something that we do, we're actually zooming in on a monthly basis with a teacher, and we're internalizing a lesson with them, coach, one-on-one coach to teacher. Then we're observing that same lesson in action, and then we're debriefing it and looking at the data for that same lesson. So we follow the life of a lesson from beginning to end, and that's been received really well by teachers. Just like unpacking a really dense curriculum and being able to dissect it and adapt it to the needs of our students has been really powerful on the lesson level.
So with being a writer and making meaning, we've seen success just with like an initial PD that just helps people navigate the manual. So they have to like open the box, look through the text, understand what planning is like, and then just like maybe a pulse here and there for like, how's it going? Okay, let's do a look. Ideally, you would go together in PLC with teachers at your grade level and do like a unit look ahead where you're like, okay, what's coming up? What didn't work from the last unit that we want to integrate? But it can be just like very teacher led. And there's questions and guides within CCC that's like suggestions for those PLCs and suggestions on like a process for unit planning.
Really?
So you could pull this like list of questions, or like look at the look ahead and then look at your checks for understanding. It like guides you through the process. And there's also videos and modules on the Learning Hub that are like mini PD series, go at your own pace. And yeah, I've seen teachers find a lot of success. I think always coaching makes things better if you have a good coach, and that someone who can be a mirror and ask you the right questions and like support you in navigating parts of the manual maybe that you didn't know that existed. But it's pretty simple.
It's so straightforward. So Sharon Walpole, who created the curriculum, she had like a webinar series last year that was free that I did on my own time. But the curriculum is just so straightforward and like written out and tells you, you know, the objective, and this is the standard that goes with it. These are activities you could do to teach that. It's just so easy. When I learned how to do the small group lessons, my mentor taught me in 5 to 10 minutes how to do 2 different groups. And then also there are videos online of how to do the groups. It was just so easy. I'm doing this on my own, so I didn't really take much professional development, but I feel like I really have the hang of it. I had my mentor to guide me a little, but yeah.